So we've been learning about the Alef. What changes our world from the world as we know it, with all of its limits, to the world of Mashiach, is the introduction of Alef. So we have Goyla, which is the name of the state that we're in now, a state of spiritual disconnection. And Geula is the name of spiritual connection and awareness and godliness. And all that changes is the Aleph. So we've spent a bit of time now discussing what that Aleph represents. The first explanation we had was that the word Aleph represents Alufoy Shel Olam, which means that Hashem is in control. So the first experience that changes between life as we know it and life in the time of Mashiach is that it becomes obvious and evident to everybody, not only to us, but to everybody, that Hashem is in charge, and therefore everything is good, and we're in good hands, and we can feel connected to the source of creation. The way that we are supposed to prepare ourselves now, because we have to prepare to receive, so the way we're supposed to prepare ourselves now for that reality is to look in our own lives, in the ordinary things that we do, mundane, benign activities, and bring a sense of godly awareness into those things. So when I eat with the intention to serve Hashem. And when I do business with the intention to be able to serve Hashem, etc. Then yesterday we learned that Aleph also comes from the word Alefcha, which means to teach. So there's another whole dimension that will happen when Mashiach comes. And that is, not only will we see how Hashem is in control of the world, but we'll understand how Hashem is beyond the world. He's the energizer of the world. He's greater than only having a relationship with creation. He's far more powerful than anything we ever imagined. And that won't be something that we just understand theoretically. That will be what we feel. That will be what's present in our lives, is this dimension of godliness that is completely beyond everything that creation represents, be it the creation we experience or the creation that the highest spiritual beings experience. And the way we prepare for that is by learning Torah. That's the concept of Alefcha, to learn Torah. So as we learn Torah, so we align ourselves with a deeper reality that will be revealed when Mashiach comes. So today we'll look at the third aspect of Aleph. The third aspect is, if you take the letters that spell out the word Aleph, it's an Aleph, a Lamed, and a Pei. It's a final Pei because it's at the end of the word. If you take that exact same word and flip it around to a mirror image, then you get Pei, Lamed, Aleph. Pei, Lamed, Aleph is Pele, not the soccer player. Pele is wow. Pele is something that is absolutely mind-blowing. It is so surprising, it is so unexpected, that even in my wildest dreams, I could never have anticipated a Pele. So that's why Pele could be like shock. You see sometimes that people would write things to the Rebbe, and when the Rebbe responded, he often didn't respond with a complete answer. He would just circle and indicate in the letter itself certain words that people had said. So sometimes if a person suggested something that the Rebbe felt was a radical suggestion, was completely off the mark, so he would write, Pele. I'm shocked that you can even make such a suggestion. Like sometimes people would talk about their own failures and their own limitations. The Rebbe would say, Pele. I'm shocked that you could make such a suggestion. In a slightly different context, we have what is called Nisim. Nisim are miracles. And then we have what is called Niflaois. So often you'll hear the two go together. People use the expression Nisim v'Niflaois. And in English, it doesn't translate so nicely. Nisim, miracles, Niflaois, wonders. So I don't know that people really relate to the concept of wonders. One of the explanations of what distinguishes Nisim, miracles, from Niflaois, wonders, there's two major explanations that we need to look at, but one of the explanations that we'll deal with superficially, and then we'll get to the second one, which we have to deal with properly. So superficially, it's like this. And miracle, a nace, is something that you can see. In other words, the splitting of the sea, the Red Sea. That's a nace. It's a miracle. Everybody sees it. You understand that the nature of water is not to stand up. And now you see that nature has been changed. That's called a miracle. But when it comes to niflaois, and the root of the word niflaois is pele, it's the same root. So these are things that it's a pele, it's a shock. Like, not only is it miraculous, but the way that the miracle is manifested is so beyond me that I might not even realize that there is a miracle. And that's why the pasuk says, and we say it in our davening on Shabbos, Le'oisei niflo'os gedolos levadoi. That when Hashem does these massive wonders, these shocking miracles, levadoi, He alone knows about it. That's what it means. He alone knows about it. Ein balanes, the Gemara says, ein balanes makir benisoy. Even the person who is the subject of the miracle doesn't even know that a miracle happened to him. So that's like the situation where a person, for argument's sake, is walking down the road, and as they turn the corner, so like a wall collapses, and they're none the wiser. They have absolutely no idea that they've just had this brush with death, and they escaped. So the concept of a pele, as represented by nifloos, is the concept of something that is so deep, so profound, and so beyond that not only does it not surprise me, it is so profound, I don't even know that it's happened. That's called a pele. That's the first explanation. The second explanation goes like this. There's a pasuk, a verse in the prophets that says, that in the time of Mashiach, Hashem promises us that just like when I took you out of Egypt, I will at that time show you nifloos. Again, what's nifloos? Magnificent, incredible miracles, shocking miracles. So the explanation is that even compared to the miracles that happened at the time of the Exodus from Egypt, which are major miracles, 10 plagues, splitting of the sea, the manna, the fact that the Egyptian firstborns turned against their own leadership just before the Exodus, massive, massive miracles. Now, up until that point in history, nothing of the sort had ever happened. So to people, it was a pele, it was a shock. Nobody knew that such a thing could happen. When Mashiach comes, the kind of miracles that are going to happen then are going to be nifloos. They're going to be shocking, even compared to the miracles that were at the time of the Exodus. Which means there are three realities. One reality is the reality that we know, it's called nature. A lot of the experience of living in the Goyla and living in Golus, living in exile, is that we take nature extremely seriously. And that's right. Right now, everybody's talking about nature. You have to understand that the nature of how contagious a disease is, and based on that, you have to make different rules to prevent the spread of disease and to flatten the curve. And we're very caught in the realm of nature. And the realm of nature has a terrible problem because on the one hand, it's offering us a way to escape disease. And on the other hand, it's killing everybody because people can't work and can't earn and can't feed themselves. So nature is stuck because it only really has two options. Open the economy, spread the disease, confine the disease, and kill the economy. There's no options over here. And that's Golus. Golus is I don't see a way out. We're often given, unfortunately, we're often presented with situations where neither option is good. But you don't have choices. That's nature. What's a miracle? A miracle is the second system. The miracle says, look, according to the laws of nature, this is how it's supposed to happen. But the miracle is that in spite of the fact that as far as nature could offer us, there are only two choices, something happens that breaks the rules and we come out okay. So take a Jew in Egypt. Nature says either you're a slave or you're dead. Those are the two options. So the miracle comes in and says, actually, you could be free. There's a way to break out of the situation. You don't have to be confined to nature. So likewise, a miracle would be you open the economy and nobody spreads the disease. That would be a miracle, right? So that's the second plane. The time of the Exodus from Egypt was that kind of plane. That means to say we know what the rules are and we know how we break the rules in order for the miracle to happen. Everybody will agree you cannot have the two live simultaneously. Either you're living in nature or you're living in miracle. You can't have a miracle and call it nature. Then it's no longer a miracle. Which brings us to the third level. The third level of existence is Pele. This makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense. It's the most incredible thing that's happening, the most miraculous thing that is happening, but it appears to be totally natural. That's how Mashiach is going to be. The miracles will be greater miracles than what was in the past, even the miracles of Exodus, but the miracles will feel so comfortable and so organic that we will even not realize that they're miracles. We'll say, it's a shocking world that we live in. We won't appreciate that it's a miraculous world. So a good example of that could be when, and I referenced this before, when it was in March, the UN Secretary General gets up and it calls for a global ceasefire. So I promise you, 6 months ago, if anybody had said there will be a global ceasefire, everybody would have said miracle. Yeah, something magnificent would have to happen. I don't know, a meteorite would have to hit conflict zones to bring people into a state. Nobody could have foreseen that it was possible. That's Pele. That is something which is absolutely shocking. Why? Because the most idyllic thing happens in the most normal way. Like it barely even gets attention in the papers. An article for a day or two, and weiter gefahren, as they say. Everybody moves on. And then 2 weeks later, he gets up, makes an announcement that a dozen conflict zones around the world have agreed to a global ceasefire, and then nobody even knows that it's happened. It's not even headline news. That's how kind of organic it is. So that's Pele. What happens with Pele is the reason things just flow and the reason things just settle is because not only, like in the Alef level, not only do we now see that Hashem is Aluf Shalom in control, and not only do we see that Hashem has a plan, Alef, but we see that the Pele, you know what's amazing? The worst things that happen to us actually are the best things that happen to us. That's the Pele. The Pele is to be able to look at the most terrible things of our lives as individuals or as the collective and say, wow, that was the best thing. The whole Golus that we went through wasn't just a difficult period that we would appreciate Mashiach afterwards. It was actually the best thing to help us to be able to get to Mashiach. It's a Pele. It's shocking to us. Anybody would tell you that now. Could you imagine you go up to somebody that suffered a tragedy and say, I just want you to know it's the best thing that ever happened to you. That suck you in one in the nose. I mean, how can you even speak that way? But when Mashiach comes, that's how people will feel. Oh my, that was the best thing that happened to me. Inconceivable for us to imagine such a reality. Now imagine that Alef being revealed in the world. Imagine that level of awareness being revealed in the world, that you actually feel every single thing is not just good or for the good, but it's the best thing that ever happened. So how do you prepare for that? Because each stage of Mashiach requires a certain preparation on our part. So there's a verse, and it relates to Lag BaOmer. It comes from Tehillim that says, Gal einai ve'abita niflo'os mitorasecha. Gal is the same letters as Lag BaOmer. That's what's related to Lag BaOmer. Gal einai, open my eyes, ve'abita niflo'os mitorasecha. And I will be able to find the Pele, the incredible Pele, the mad stuff of Torah. Meaning to say the kind of teachings that Torah has that I never thought I could ever appreciate, that I never thought existed. Where do I find that? So Gal, open your eyes, means that it's something which within the Torah itself I wouldn't automatically see, I wouldn't automatically pick up. So somebody has to open my eyes. That's the relationship to Lag BaOmer. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is considered the father of what's called Pnimius HaTorah, the hidden part of the Torah. Hidden part, that's why you have to open my eyes. Which later the Arizal said is now something every single Jew has to learn. And then the Baal Shem Tov came along and translated it into Chassidus so that every Jew can learn it. So by learning the Niflo'os, the surprising, the incredible part of Torah, which is today accessible to us through Chassidus, that opens us up to the Alef, the Pele, to be able to experience the Pele of godliness in this world. So as Dubi correctly says on the chat, it's all very nice to talk about, but for Poel, practically, we should see it right now in front of our eyes. 2 bits of housekeeping before you